Well, hi, hello everyone. I wanted to make a video in which I wanted to present myself and also explain a little bit about the projects that I have made during my PhD. In fact, I will be describing some of the research works that I have made from when I started my master's degree in engineering sciences back in 2020. I have specialized myself in signal processing and pattern recognition, signal classification, and so on. Also have some experience with wavelets. So I will try to make this presentation as brief as possible, but also provide an overview of all of the um, projects that I have developed over the last couple of years. Okay, so my academic studies. Well, I studied mechatronics engineering and I graduated back in 2017, in December of 2017. And then, I make a master's degree in engineering sciences from Tecnológico de Monterrey. Like, I got graduated with cum laude in 2022, and I focused my thesis work in signal processing and machine learning. No? And afterwards, I also had the opportunity to pursue a PhD, and I also focused my research in the same area. Also, you can see here that I have like a gap, no, between 2017 and 2020, no? And I spent a little bit of my time in industry and also working a little bit in academia by making prototypes and also working as a research specialist. So a little bit about my experience. Well, I work in industry. In particular, I was working at Ford Motor Company from June 2018 to November of 2018. I was working there like around 6 months. And while I was working as hardware in the loop engineering, I was performing testing cases in the instrument panel cluster of the vehicle. This is basically the electronic component in the vehicle that tells you about the speed and the revolutions per minute of the motor. So while I was working there, performing software testing, in particular for that device, mainly my work was to simulate the signals that are sent to the instrument panel cluster, and I need to verify the behavior of the system, according to some feature specifications that the company has. Later, I work as a project specialist here in Tecnológico de Monterrey. Um, yeah, and I developed different projects, no? Most of them were some prototypes that were intended we intended to develop these prototypes and produce products, no? Based on these prototypes. Also, I have some experience by developing educational platforms. For example, here in the top, I developed a virtual laboratory to control a smart grid laboratory. Here, for example, you can control, for example, the brightness of these lamps. And based on the control of the brightness of these lamps, we can control the voltage and the voltage that is generated by this photovoltaic panel, no, that you can see here. So the idea of this laboratory is that some student can access to this software platform and control the hardware remotely. Okay, why is that? Because this software is to some extent expensive, and you want to control or have some interactions with these variables using this type of system. And we developed this platform using LabVIEW. And later, also I was working in a project that was in the development of an electric wheelchair. And here is a video of that wheelchair. In fact, I presented this prototype in the Innovation Hub of Tecnológico de Monterrey in Hangzhou, China, back in 2018, in May of 2018 to be precise. And the whole idea of this wheelchair was to control this electromechanical system with certain commands, for example, the head movements, the voice movements, and also we were using some interface. Here in the video, I am showing you the eye movement interface. And these are some of the projects that we developed back in that time. No? And well, Yeah, I am mentioning this project in particular because, as you can see, there is some pattern recognition tasks, no, that we need to perform in this project because we need to identify to which position the head is being moved or not. And this was a little bit challenging because at that time I was not an expert in pattern recognition or the algorithms that can allow you to do that. So that's in that time was when I was interested in researching about this area. Furthermore, one of the challenging parts of this project is that I need to redesign some of the components of this wheelchair, in particular the electronic and electrical hardware, in order to make it more affordable. Because, well, since we were developing a prototype, the cost of developing this prototype were pretty high. No? So, well, this is one of the projects that, well, by following a chain, I was interested in later studying a little bit further this idea of pattern recognition and how you can um, develop these algorithms that perform face recognition or can classify objects in an image. So based on that, that's when I got interested in making a little bit of research. And to do that, well, the institution paid me for my master's degree. And also, while making my master's degree, I got the opportunity to make a project related to the detection of high blood pressure based on photoplethysmography and clinical data. The whole idea is to say, okay, how can we use this photoplethysmography data that is basically the sensor that is placed in the pulse oximeters. And well, this sensor can be used to detect those blood pressure changes indirectly. And well, we propose a pipeline, no, in order to detect those blood pressure changes. I use in particular an algorithm that was called a wavelet scattering transform. And well, we perform certain processing of these waveforms in order to train different classifiers in order to detect normal tension and hypertension. Also, we use some analysis of the tabular data that we have, for example, clinical data. And well, we analyze which of the variables that we have were more correlated to this normal tension and hypertension stage by performing a feature selection approach. In particular, we base the decision in the feature importance computed by the gene impurity index that was obtained by feeding a decision tree. And afterwards, we perform some fusion, multimodal fusion strategies, in particular, a late fusion and an early fusion approach. And the whole idea was to see how we can take advantage of these two data modalities in order to perform this detection between normal tension and hypertension. And well, we have also the opportunity to publish some of these works in peer-reviewed journals. Here are some of the references and reports in which that you can consult in order to see some of these developments. Afterwards, I was talking with some partners here in my university, and they told me if my techniques or the techniques that I propose for the high blood pressure detection um, can be applied to detect pavement transverse cracking based on the vibration of a vehicle. The idea was to say, okay, we can take the vibration data of a vehicle by using an accelerometer. Maybe we can use that vibration data in order to see how that signal is associated with changes in the road surface, in particular, pavement transverse cracking. So the idea was to say, okay, we can take those measurements, no, from the acceleration data, we can transform that, and maybe we can use some pre-trained architecture like a GoogleNet, the SqueezeNet, and the ResNet 18 in order to fine-tune these architectures in order to train these models in order to perform this type of detection. And similarly, have the opportunity to publish some of these works. And well, here are some of the references and some of the knowledge, that we developed by performing this type of application. Also, we center the idea of performing a detection using a technique that is called the wavelet transform. And later, I was talking with a partner. His name is David Barrientos. In fact, he's one of the authors that you can see here in this slide, in these publications. And he has like a startup, no, that is focused on developing smart solutions for water management. And he told me that he was interested in using these data-driven approaches to detect water leakages in water distribution pipelines. So I suggest to them to use a technique that I use for the high blood pressure detection project that also was based on wavelets. That's called the wavelet scattering transform. And we analyze how, for example, acceleration, also named vibration data, pressure data, and acoustic data, can be used in order to detect, not only detect the water leakages, but also classify them. Because there are different types of fractures, to put it in a way, that can occur in the pipeline of the water network. So what we did was to say, okay, from all of these data modalities, which one is better for classifying the different types of fractures that you can have in a water distribution network? So we proposed this pipeline in which we have we computed features of this data, no, this acceleration, pressure, and acoustic data. We use those features to train classical machine learning classifiers. In fact, one of the constraints that we imposed was to not use artificial neural networks. So we focus ourselves on using supervector machines, canary neighbor, and decision trees. And afterwards, well, we perform this classification, and well, some of these results can be consulted, no, in these papers. And well, in one of the projects that I have worked recently is in the temperature estimation in electric motors. In fact, this is a collaboration that I made with some partners in Italy, in particular for um, the um, the in Turin, in the Polytechnical Institute of Turin. And well, they were working with an enterprise that is called Elafe, no? And this company Elafe, that its complete name is Elafe Propulsion Systems, is, well, they are experts in designing or producing electric motors. And one of the challenges of electric motors is that they tend to be overheated. Why? Because when you start to demanding too much torque to the machine or too much power to the machine, the components inside the motor start to be, well, the temperature inside the motor of the inside the motor starts to increase, no? The problem is that since the electric motors that they use require permanent magnets, when you increase too much the temperature of these electric motors, they tend to be overheated, no? They tend to reduce, when we're increasing the temperature, we are start to reducing the magnetic flux that the magnet can produce. But that directly affects the capability of producing torque by the machine. So we are interested in knowing what is the temperature inside those components in order to prevent that demagnetization, no? Or that reduction in the magnetic flux of the machine. And also, they want that the solution was based on the physics of the system. The meaning of that is that they wanted a model that was created not only based on data, but also that was constrained by the physics, no, of the system, the thermal dynamics of the system that we were studying. So we decided to use some two algorithms that are not too popular. In fact, I didn't know them when I started working on this, that are called the, well, one of them, no, that is called the Hammerstein models or Hamster-Wiener models. And the interesting part of this algorithm is that you can combine some of the physics of the system with a data-driven approach. No, you can cascade, no, or merge those two solutions. And we were interested, in computing our tracked temperature in the magnet. Okay. Also, we compare this approach with another one that is called the nonlinear autoregressive models. We were using this to analyze time series data in particular. And also we got the opportunity to publish some of these works. No? You can consult them in these references. These are some of my most recent works to the time of recording this video. And well, as you can see, I have some plethora of interest in signal processing, pattern recognition, machine learning, artificial intelligence. There are some of the uses of data science, no? Of analyzing data and creating models to make predictions, no? Or to make estimations. And also, I have a portfolio of projects that is placed in this link. You can access to it, and you will see there not only the paper, some of the papers that I have described previously of some of the projects, but also I have uploaded some of these codes to the GitHub, no, in order for you to see some of the projects that I have made during my career. Okay, so I think that that's all for this video. I hope you find you find interesting my profile. Okay, and see you later.